Hello.
Yeah.
This is exciting. I've studied your material for probably 8 years, and I love it, and it feels right. I know instinctually that it's right, it's true.
Our material just leads you to your own. We have really basic general understanding of the laws of the universe, and you've got a whole vortex that is full of the specifics of your material. And so once you get the basics down, then who you are begins to come out. Yeah.
When I spend a lot of time on your material, I feel like I can get it to work well for me. But when I get a little relaxed about it and lazy about it, I seem to go off in the weeds rather quickly.
That's normal, isn't it? Because anything that you keep active, anything that you're focused upon that's active within you, then law of attraction is responding to that active vibration. You can't listen to a seminar. You could pick any seminar of the thousands that we've offered, and you could listen to any one of them, and it would tune you to your frequency if you stayed focused long enough. And when you're back in your frequency, then everything's easier, isn't it?
It definitely is. Well, I've heard you describe Esther being a vibrational snob at times, and I love that term. When I feel like I'm not being careful or a vibrational snob, I don't ask, where are we going and who's going to be there and what's the movie, and pay attention to details like that, I can get off track quicker. Isn't that trying to control the details, though?
It is, but consider it from this point of view. If you're thinking in terms of your vibrational state of being and what you're bringing to the movie, if your awareness is who shows up at the movie, meaning who of you, what part of you shows up to the movie rather than what movie are you showing up to? Because what movie are we going to is a condition. Who shows up is open-ended and unlimited. You might be at a movie that you wouldn't choose, but in your state of alignment, you might pick up something new that you don't have access to in any other way. There are insights in movies that you can benefit from accomplishing that you don't want to live real life in order to accomplish it.
Okay, I've been filtering a little differently then. I get what you're saying there. I'll avoid movies that sound depressing or avoid horror movies, but it's not so much the type of movie.
It's not what the movie is, it's who showed up at it. Esther remembers years ago going to the movie Ghost. A friend dragged Jerry and Esther to the movie, and they weren't going to many movies. Do you remember the movie? It's a long time ago, but there was a scene where the icky, horrible demons crawled out of the vents and were dragging people into them. And when Esther saw it, she just laughed right out loud. Her voice just rang out in the theater. It was so odd. It was not the part. No one else was laughing. Because no one else knew that that's not how it works. And Esther just thought it was so clever and creative and so predictable that she just found that incredibly amusing. And no one else laughed. But the movie didn't affect her and what she knows to be. It just bumped up against who she is and what she knows. We'll say it again. How much of me am I taking to the movie is much more important than what movie am I conditionally going to see in this guarded stance of wanting to hold myself in that place. It's about being sure of who you are before you go, not going to shore up who you are.
And when I find myself in a situation that I know I've created, this is a WWAD, what would Abraham do?
Before you go there, we are really enjoying when I find myself there. Like, surprise! Like I didn't see that coming. I just kind of blundered in and...
I'll go to a movie. I like going to movies, and not that often. Occasionally I'll be sitting there and the movie's about to start and someone comes in and plops down beside me and they're loud, or they bump the seat and it goes on for a while, they're noisy. And I think, what would Abraham do? Do I get up and move?
Yes.
Do I remove myself from it?
Yeah.
Do I try to tune them out?
Yeah.
Do I turn around and ask them, could you be quiet?
No, we wouldn't do that, because then that just makes them want to bump the seat more.
No. So remove yourself from the situation.
Yeah. We always do whatever we can do to feel as good as we can feel in every situation. So if somebody's bumping your seat and you can move, then move. Now, if you're on an airplane and every seat is full and there's somebody behind you bumping your seat, or here's a really good one, they've got their tray table down and they're playing cards on the tray table on the seat that you're sitting in. And so what do? Well, you might enjoy how brief the flight is. You might enjoy the fun they're having. In other words, there are a lot of things that you can do. But what we always would lean toward is self-adjustment. Because if you do something other than adjust yourself, then you have to deal with their readiness to adjust. You're much more capable of adjusting yourself within a situation than you are getting anyone else to adjust for you. That's empowerment.
Yes. Cool.
Yeah. And we wouldn't spend time doing things like so many of you do, like, how did I get here? I must have been bad in a past life. We would just be as you are, say, well, I found myself here, didn't see that coming, and always the answer is the same. I didn't allow my positive momentum to pick up enough speed to carry me through this movie. And it's usually because I went to the movie to raise my vibration rather than I went into the movie with a raised vibration.
I get it. I overthink it.
Yeah. They're much more.
I've heard you say that all death is suicide.
Because everything is self-inflicted. Everything is self-inflicted.
I believe I understand what you mean. I see people around me that talk about poor health that seem to get more and more of it. And I've also heard you say that animals are instinctual. The beasts of the planet thrive because they don't worry about things.
On the spectrum of asking and receiving, they lean much more heavily in receiving and much less heavily in asking. They are not deliberate creators in the way that humans are. They're more general creators. So they're much more prone to being in the receiving mode, while humans are more prone to be in the asking mode.
So my question is, why do animals live such shorter lives than us? I've had dogs, and I work with animals quite a bit, and they'll seem to get cancer, or cats will get leukemia.
They see all of those things as a way into non-physical, which is the path of least resistance. It's just faster. And when you think about it, if you are a consciousness that is here more to promote allowing and not so interested in the expansion and evolution of ideas, then once you've sort of gotten organized in your space and kind of gotten to know everybody, you really feel more eager about just coming and doing it again with someone else. The lifespan of the consciousness has to do with the interest that the environment produces. So the more interesting your life is to you, then the more you put into the vortex and the more evolution of the ideas you get to enjoy. That makes sense to you?
Yes. So when animals transition, do they come back as animals, and do we come back as humans always?
Yeah.
Always come back. A dog comes back as a dog.
Yeah. Part of the non-physical energy consciousness, prepare yourselves. So you have an inner being who is consciousness, who flows some of it into the human you and some of it into the feline you and some of it into the canine you. In other words, consciousness is flowing from this source that is your inner being into all of these aspects of physicality. So you're not only human. That's why you relate so much to the animals at times.
But this part of the energy
It's not
stream,
easy to think of yourself as a stream of consciousness, is it? Because you've become accustomed to seeing yourself only in your human form. But when you begin to meditate and reach for that alignment, then you begin to notice Esther loves watching what happens to the birds over her ravine when she sits outside and meditates. They join her, they revel with her, they dance with her, they show up with her. In other words, they come vibrationally home with her. It's like calling all me's, calling all me's, calling all me's. I've tuned into our source and let our physicality revel together. And so the raccoon crawls up out of the ravine, and the hummingbird comes from over here, and the hawk flies over, and the eagle flies over, and the rabbit runs by, and the cat comes by, and the rabbit goes that way, and the cat goes that way. And You are multidimensional beings, expansive beyond your ability to know, and usually you cut yourself off from so many of the aspects of you. And that's just talking about the animal kingdom, who are always so ready to play with you when you were in that right vibrational state. Now let's talk about all of the humans that are on your vibrational wavelength that will show up to play with you, to enhance your experience, to add to the clarity and the cleverness and the satisfaction of the moment.
And when we reincarnate and we come back, do we come back as the same kind of entity, your unique stream of consciousness?
Well, since we're talking to the human you, we'll say yes, and when we talk to the dog you, we tell him yes too, and when we talk to the cat you, we tell him yes too.
I'm wondering if we blend a little bit with other entities and come back.
It's nice when you do that, because then you understand the whole of it so much better.
Okay.
Haven't you ever had a particularly wonderful relationship with a cat or a dog? And you just think, you know, you're more than what you appear to be. And the beast wants to say to you, I'm way more than you have allowed yourself to know I am. And here's what I could teach you. Don't try to stay so long. It's the quality that matters, not the length of the life experience. That's what they all say. And then they say, for example, watch this, and they run right out in front of a car. And they say, as they reemerge in a non-physical, see what I mean? Get the point?
I get it. Thank you.
Really good. Really good.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, really good. Takes a unique question to get a unique answer, doesn't it? Yep. All right. Now you're rolling. Now suddenly you have so many things you want to talk about.